Hello, Internet. Welcome to another episode of Because Games. So, I'm doing something a little different this time. As you can see, this is a little program called Lackey CCG. This is something a little special. Instead of just playing some regular old 8-bit thing, I'm going to play a little bit of my game. This is a game that I made, as you can see on the side here. It's called Squared Circle Trading Card Game, or Squared Circles TCG. It's basically a TCG game. That's kind of redundant, but whatever. It's TCG, where you has like a pro wrestling theme. It's really the best way I can describe it. Now the program we're playing this in is called Lackey CCG, and it's basically just like a virtual table, and it kind of lets you play all sorts of different collectible and trading card games, and it's all done virtually. So this game is currently in playtesting, so it's a little unfinished, and things are always being changed. But I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown on how the game works and how to play it and why I hope that some folks will like it. So I guess first things first, this is the main stage, if you will. This game can be played online, and it can be played for free. So let me get all that out of the way right quick. Go to squaredcircle.gkick.net, click on the playtest button, and you can actually download the Lackey program and the Squared Circle add-on for free and play the game online for free against anybody else who may happen to have the add-on, or me. Tweet me. Let me know if you want to play sometime. I'm always, almost always available. So, whatever. Anyway, so like I said, this is the main screen for it. This is going to be the main playfield here. This is the back of the Squared Circle card. Of course, it'll vary from some cards have different backs, whatever. I'll try to give you a rundown on how some of this works. This is the deck editor screen. I'm not going to give you a whole freaking tutorial on Lackey, but I'm just going to show you like a sample game and kind of how the thing works. So we'll do some basic stuff. I'll load this deck to him, and I'll load this other deck to the other guy. Alright, so deck assembly and stuff like that is kind of detailed on the website a little bit. I'll try to go into that in some detail during this video, or during this series, I guess I should say. But anyway, first thing you want to do, and because you know this is going to be handled differently than if you had the print version of the game, which obviously is not available yet since we're still finalizing the game itself and cards are changing all the time. The decks in this game are built not only as regular decks would be, but there's also two separate cards at least that are always loaded by default. The first one here, and I'm going to drop that right in the middle of the field, that is your champion card, as you can see on the side of the screen here. This is the card by which the rest of your deck is built around. As you can see, there's no art right now. We're working on that. We'll get some art soon. But anyway, the elements that are important on here: the name of the card, which right now is just the generic Technician Champion 1. The amount of stamina or health that the card has. The class, because obviously the Technician Champion 1 is going to be a freaking different name, so you're not going to know it's a Technician Champion unless you look down here. Now, Technician Champion, there are different classes of Champion. You'll see on the other deck that this is going to be a Technician versus Brawler match, which is pretty standard stuff, so we're not going to get too much variance here, but it's a good introduction. Here is the ranking of the card. This is a low card champion, so low health, low attack, low defense. The higher that goes, the higher these numbers go, and it also affects the different matchups you can have and things like that. And it's also balanced for other elements of the game. But anyway, that's what that's for. Finishing move. This is a move you can do once per game, and it can deal significant damage. It's nearly impossible to block unless your opponent has a lot of energy. This particular finisher costs 4 energy to play, and it deals 7 damage, which is pretty significant when you're trying to hit a major move and not have it be avoided at all. This here is just sort of filler right now as far as the name of the finisher and what the move is, but that's kind of what it's going to look like. Here is the attack modifier. Basically, if you ever attack directly with your champion instead of using an ability, that's how much damage they will deal every time they attack, and you can do an attack once per turn. Alternatively, you can defend, and this is your defense modifier here, which is also a 3. Now, this is a low card champion, so it's 3 and 3. This will vary from champion to champion in different rankings, things like that. Now, if you decide not to attack, if your opponent attacks, you can choose to what's called guard, which means you exhaust the champion and you go into a guard state, and that's how much damage you can prevent, just by your champion alone, not with using any defensive moves. I'll get into all of that in detail as we're playing. The other card that goes on the field is called the position card, and that's going to go right up in the same row as the champion card. I'll show you this. Again, no art. But how this works is, as you can see, there's an in-ring side, and let me flip it over, and out-of-ring side. Again, no art. This affects what kinds of moves you can do. You'll see that some abilities are in-ring only, out-of-ring only, and you have to be in certain statuses to do certain moves. As it stands right now, most of this stuff's going to be in-ring, so we're not going to worry about it. But let me go ahead and get the other side set up. Same deal. Champion goes in front. Position card goes to the side. Now the thing about a position card, when this goes into print status, like when this game actually goes to print, the position card will be included with starter decks, but it's not a requirement. You know, as long as you can keep track of whether you're in the ring or out of the ring at any given time, you don't really need a position card, so you can build a deck out of like booster packs or something like that, but whatever. Moving right along. So here we go. Game is good. We're going to go ahead and shuffle the deck. We're going to draw our hand. Now, as you can see, to use this program, all of your basic commands are going to be right here. There's not a lot you need to do special. You're at your ready all, draw, all sorts of stuff. So we're just going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 7 cards for that guy. We're going to shuffle the deck. As you can see, you just right-click on deck, click shuffle, deck is shuffled. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So, first turn, we're just going to start with this player 1, who I've named G-Kick Shelfus. So you'll know, that's going to be my name on the online servers. So if you do decide to play with me, you'll know who I am. Anyway, the game is pretty much straightforward, like almost any other TCG. If you've ever played like Magic or the WoW TCG or anything like that, you have different cards used as resources, different abilities you can cast, and the only real difference is that there's no like creatures or allies or anything like that. So all of the damage dealt and received is done by the champions, which is why the damage is so high, or why the health is so high, I should say. You know, that's why you're not dealing with like 20-point health pools, because these games would end rapidly. Right now I'm just setting the base health for both players. It's the easiest kind of resource to work with is just right on the side here. You just type the number in here and click the little equals button, which is the first button next to the number thing. Then you can zero it out, or you can do up and down, just like that. I don't know. It's a little hard to see, I know, but you'll understand more if you actually download it and play it. So anyway, let's do the first turn, so you get an idea of how the game works. I know this really isn't much along the same vein of what we do here at Because Games, but I don't really care. It's my game, I want to show it off. So there. First card, Energy card. Energy card is, again, your resource card. This is what it's going to take to play any ability in the game, unless, of course, it has 0 requirement. But, yeah, pretty much every card in the game is going to have some kind of energy requirement. Just like a resource card, the very first move of the game... Well, let me break down the turn sequence for you, so I get a little more detail. It's kind of outlined on the side here. And even this still needs a little bit of clarification, but we'll start at the beginning. The first phase, the first step of your turn, is called the tag step. If you are doing a tag team match, you can choose to tag out to your partner and have him take over, or her, however you want to do it. And there's always only 2 active people in a match at any given time in a tag team match, unless it's under like tornado tag team rules or some kind of weird stuff like that. There's a whole different variance on how you can play these matches and how you can do this shit. So anyway, that's the tag step. You can decide to do that before you do anything else. Next step is your ready step. That's where if you've already played a turn and say your card is exhausted, like that, this would be the part where you would ready it. Just like that. Pretty straightforward. Now an upkeep phase. We do have an upkeep phase. I don't know if that's really going to carry over into the live version. There's not really anything to upkeep in the game so far. But I'm going to leave it there for now as kind of like a future, element to the game. Anyway, the next phase is position. Now at this point, you can choose to change your position during a match. If you're playing under standard rules and you are out of the ring for more than 5 consecutive turns, then you're considered counted out, and you lose. So, I don't know if you want to lose the match like that, but you can. Anyway, you can decide if you want to go out of the ring, and when you change your status here, your opponent must also change their status. So you're basically bringing the match out of the ring or back into the ring, however it works out. And then you can use out-of-ring moves and ring moves however you want to do it. Then we go into the next part, the draw phase. Now I forgot to draw, so I'll just click the draw button and draw a card. You draw, you're good. Next part of the phase is the action phase. Now this is where everything happens. Play energy, play abilities if you have any, attack with your champion, do whatever. So in this turn, and I'll play one quick turn before we go to the next part, since I spent most of this episode just kind of discussing how this shit works. Right now I got an ability, deal 2 damage to target champion. It's an instant, it's called Wild Counter. Alright, so that takes 0 energy, so I'll go ahead and play that. Bam, let's throw that out there. That's 2 damage, and I'll attack with my champion. I'm going to spend him. So that's 5 damage incoming to my opponent. So, what can he do? Well, let's take a look at his champion really quick. As you can see, it's a little bit different. He's a brawler champion. He's got a little bit higher health, lower defense. That's kind of the trade-off. Still a low card, brawler champion. Same basic finishing move, 4 energy, 4 energy, 7 damage. Now he also has a little passive thing here, and this kind of is what makes up for his differences. Any turn where an attack is avoided, you deal 2 unavoidable damage to the target. So, if you do an attack with this champion, and it's avoided, or dodged, or blocked. Now, avoid is a general term that basically means if it's countered, parried, dodged, whatever it is, then you deal 2 damage anyway, every time that happens. Only once per turn, of course. So not every attack, but any turn. That might be modified slightly, maybe reduced down to 1. I'm still checking it out. This is a recent change, so I'm still trying to see the balance of it. But anyway, I'm getting 5 damage incoming. What can I do? Do I have any free defensive abilities? I do not. Now this is the point of the turn where, as you can see on this card, it's classed as defensive, and not anything else. Now I'll show you on the other card here that I'm being attacked with, it says it's classed as brawling. Every champion can only use certain ability cards that fall under certain classes. Obviously, a brawler can use brawling abilities, grapple abilities. There's a whole big list. I'm not going to go through it all for you, but yeah. So, as a defensive ability, you can only play these cards when you are on the defensive part of the turn. So my opponent just finished his attack, now I'm on the defense. What can I do? I can't play any abilities, I have no energy yet. What I can do is guard. So I can spend my champion, or exhaust him, and that gives me 2 guard. So now, 2 of the incoming damage is being blocked. The priority of attack is instant ability, instant ability, champion damage, ability. So, I'm blocking the instant. Some cards say if this card deals damage, then X happens, or whatever, So if you block that ability in full, or, however, then you prevent the secondary ability from happening. You'll see that in probably more detail as we play along, maybe. But anyway, I'm going to be able to block this ability, but I'm going to take 3 damage from the champion. So, 1, 2, 3. So there you go. That's a quick rundown of one turn in this game. And it's very basic, and I'm hopeful that you kept up. Next time, we're going to go over this in a little more detail. I'm going to show you another turn, and we're going to see a little bit more on how this game's played, because we don't have to describe everything.